Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Am's Untitled Podcast. I'm Am. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. It's officially a Percy Jackson podcast. I'm Am, by the way. If any of you haven't met me before, it's so nice to meet you. I started this podcast about 2.5 months ago, and it's officially become a Percy Jackson podcast. So far in this podcast, I've reviewed the show. I've reviewed the first four books, and today we're going to finish the review of the last book, of the first five books. So, the last Olympian. If you haven't heard the rest of my reviews, I would recommend going to listening to those before you listen to this one. But if you've done that already, keep listening. So, the first chapter we're going to be talking about today is chapter 21, which is Blackjack Gets Jacked. Again, these chapter titles are just, they give me life. So, in this chapter, it opens up with Percabeth leaving the Empire State Building. And they see Hermes, who is staring at an iris message in the fountain. And obviously, Percy apologizes to Hermes. Everything that's happened with Luke, it must be really difficult for them. And, Hermes tells him that he was wrong about blaming Annabeth. What happened to Luke wasn't Annabeth's fault. It was actually Hermes's fault. And, um, yeah, it's a really, like, sad moment. Like, it's, you know, I don't think, like, even though Hermes knew what was going to happen to Luke, it's nothing like knowing is nothing compared to like seeing it happen. At least, like I truly believe that. And when I was reading this part of the book, I was like, wow, like he's just lost his son, and you know, for what? Because Kronos isn't actually dead. Like he's a Titan, he can come back at any time. Percy, all Luke has done for Percy is delay the inevitable, basically. And Percy tells Hermes that he wants him to honor Luke by caring for his other children. Basically, to not do what Hermes did to Luke, neglect them, um, and hurt them. He wants Hermes to make amends for that, to because he knows that that's what Luke would have really wanted. And yeah, it's such a sweet thing to ask for as well. I thought that was very sweet. Like I said, Rick is one of those people where he's very, very real. And I love that. I really, really appreciate that about his writing style because there's not a lot of authors. I've read a lot of books over the years, and there's not many authors that give you a realistic like a realistic story. There's a lot of authors that write things that don't really teach you a lesson. Whereas in these books, you learn a lot. And that's why I just love them so much. And maybe when I was a kid, like, I didn't really understand. But, like, as an adult, and I'm reading this back, and I'm like, this isn't a kid's book. Like, I've never thought it was a kid's book. I genuinely think that it's for adults because there's so much that we can learn from his writing, I think. And yeah, it's just. I don't know. I just had a full like epiphany after I finished reading the book. I was like, wow, like things just I learned so much from this book is what I'm trying to say. I've learned a lot over the course. And I know a lot of people are very like dismissive of details. I'm not. I'm somebody who thinks beyond what the eye can see is all I can say. And I think that's a lot to do with having anxiety. I think it makes you a professional like overthinker, but then I'm so happy that I have that as well. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. And Hermes tells him that he wants Percy to watch out for his kids at camp. So the people in the Hermes camp, basically to just take care of them. And after he has this conversation with Hermes, he runs into Athena. And she just asks him, why he turned down immortality, basically. He had a chance to become a god. So why did he do it? Why didn't he do it, basically? And he tells her that he couldn't leave Annabeth. Aw. Sorry, I'm getting like the feels. Aw, they're so cute. And I think it's because he knows that Athena doesn't approve of their relationship. So I think he kind of wanted to rub it in her face a little bit. The possessive was coming out a little bit there. Aw. In other words, he's basically saying to her, like, look, you may have abandoned her, but I never will, in other words, which I think is so sweet. And then after they have that conversation and he comes down the Empire State Building, he sees Sally and Paul outside waiting for him. And obviously, of course, Annabeth is there as well. And Nico literally rushes in to tell Percy that Rachel has ridden Blackjack back to Camp Half-Blood. Now, she's not really supposed to be there because even though she's a seer, like, she's not a demigod or a half-blood, so she shouldn't really be there. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. And like, she's like, Percy's like, she low-key ran off with my, with my Pegasus. Oh, the next chapter is chapter 22, which is I Am Dumb. Sorry, the chapter titles just kill me. Percy calls upon the Hippocampi to give them a ride to Long Island, basically. And once they arrive at camp, Blackjack says, "Look, it wasn't my fault. She just abducted me." Bless him. And Chiron stops Percy from intervening. Um, and he says to Percy that he actually invited Rachel to camp because she has a job to do here, basically. And the mist starts to swirl around Rachel. And Apollo tells Percy that Rachel actually has the gift of the prophecy and that she's accepted it and that she is the new oracle, basically. And she gives her first prophecy, which I'm going to read to you right now. Um, I just thought it was so cool. I've got the book in front of me today because I was like, I just wanted to read it out the book. I don't know why. Maybe I just wanted to read the book again. I don't know. Um, Da, da, da. Here it is. Okay, so 7 half-bloods shall answer the call to storm or fire, the world must fall, an oath to keep with a final breath, and foes bear arms to the doors of death. And that's it. So, little hint for the Heroes of Olympus books. Anybody who hasn't read them, highly recommend reading them. They're really good. And after she gives her first prophecy, obviously she faints. And when she eventually gets up, she goes and kisses Percy on the cheek, as in, like, I don't know if it was like a goodbye or just like, I'm not interested like that anymore, or I'm not really sure what it was, if I'm honest, but I felt the need to point it out. And obviously, Selena and Ethan's funeral is taking place. Ethan obviously helped Percy at the last minute, so he also died a hero's fate. Like I said, Rick gives redemption to every character that deserves it, and I really appreciate that. Then, after the funerals are over, Percy's sitting, I believe he's sitting on the beach, and Annabeth comes with a blue cupcake to wish him a happy birthday. It's actually his birthday. And Annabeth tells Percy that Rachel won't be dating anybody now because obviously they're virgins, aren't they? The oracles, and you know, anyone can see that she's relieved. I was relieved, if I'm honest. I was like, oh, okay, thank God, nobody else is going to intervene in the relationship. And Percy says, you seem very happy about the fact that she can't be with anybody. And Annabeth's laughing at Percy because he's trying to express his feelings for her and he can't do it. And she says one really iconic line, which is, "I'm never ever going to make things easy for you, seaweed brain. So get used to it." And oh, they kiss. They're so cute. Oh, my heart. Do you know, honestly, like, I don't think you understand. Like, when I was reading the books, I never knew if they would end up together or not. And I was praying from book one that they would be together. So, like, when I read this for the first time, I was squealing because I was so excited. And then eventually all the campers, they know what's going on. They all knew they had feelings for each other. It was just only a matter of time before they got together, and they push them in, and they have an underwater kiss. Oh, they're just iconic. Like, there is nobody who can tell me that they're not iconic. They're just the cutest couple ever, and they are my Roman in brackets Greek Empire. They're amazing. I love them so much, and yeah, that chapter made me exceedingly happy, I must say. So the last chapter in the book is chapter 23, which is we say goodbye, sort of. So the chapter opens at camp with a whole bunch of new campers arriving that have been claimed by the gods. Um, Nico is obviously helping to build the Hades cabin. He's going to have a lot more siblings, I think, so he's going to need that cabin. And Tyson is also helping to build a Hecate cabin. It's Hecate, or is it Hecate? I don't know. I feel like I really worry when I say these names. So I feel like someone's gonna savage me and be like, "That's not how you say it." And as the after a little while, Poseidon comes to see Percy to thank him for everything, for obviously um basically just begging him to help him, basically, and just to say thank you for saving the world. In other words, and all the campers get another bead, which is the one with the Empire State Building on it, and I love it. I've got one on my Annabeth necklace as well. I think it's such a beautiful idea. And in the book, there's a little detail where it's got the names of campers written on it as well, which I think is really cute. This whole like bead necklace idea was so good. I don't know how Rick came up with that. One day I really hope that I get to speak to him, even if it's like a 2 minute conversation, and just be like, I just want to ask you something. I do worry. Like I don't get starstruck very often, but I feel like if I was to go in front of him, because he's been one of my favorite authors, I feel like I might just panic and just be like, I can't talk. My mum is like, you'd probably embarrass yourself. I goes, yeah, I probably would if I'm truthfully honest. Right? The next morning, obviously Rachel has to keep her promise, and go to finishing school. She promised her dad that if her dad took her back to New York, she would go to finishing school. So she's just leaving camp. And it has actually revealed that Annabeth and her are better friends now without the whole Percy situation going on. And Percy says, he says to Annabeth, he goes, I know that you've been thinking about the new great prophecy. And they basically said, well, that could happen in like 50 years' time, since the last prophecy took so long. Yeah, nice try, guys. You ain't gonna escape the prophecy. Rick's got some more ideas planned for you guys. And the book ends with Percy and Annabeth racing each other and Percy never looking back. And I think that that's such a great way to end the book. Up until this point, Percy has been put through the ringer, and I'm glad that he got a moment of happiness. And I love that. I wouldn't say he got a happy ending just yet because there's a lot more to come. But for now, the ending was great and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. So my final thoughts, obviously there was the big aftermath of the war. Herbie's finally coming around, accepting that what happened to Luke was partially his fault, and that obviously now the only thing that he can do is honor his son's memory, which I hope he continues to do. Rachel, of course, becoming the Oracle, that was a big thing. I kind of knew that she had the gift of a prophecy because of all those visions and her being able to see through the mist, that sort of thing. Um, and of course, with what happened with May, I knew that there would be another Oracle at some point, but yeah, I kind of guessed that she was special. I just didn't know that she'd become the actual Oracle. Obviously, I know now because I've read the books a few times. But yeah, I thought that was great. The Percabeth was Percabething in this book, and I was living for it, particularly in the last few chapters. I Yeah, hands down, love them so much. I could literally go on about them for days, which is why there's going to be episodes just like devoted to them too, because they're just so cool. And obviously, Rick gives the camp a brand new chapter. All these new demigod children finally being claimed. Having a place in the world, learning what it means to be a demigod. I love that. I'm glad that Rick has given them that, what would you call it, that opportunity, I guess. And I finally come to the decision that The Last Olympian is my favorite book in the series. I was thinking about it for so long and I was like, don't know which one's my favorite. I don't know which one's my favorite, but now I know. And I'm like, yeah, hands down, my favorite book in the series for so many reasons. But I'm going to go through one of those main reasons right now. And I'm going to give you guys my book ranking. So basically, in my head, the order of the books, in other words. So obviously, Last Olympian is number one. I think it's because this is what the whole series has been building to, and I think I couldn't have honestly imagined a better ending. Like even Luke, I'm glad he got his redemption in the end. And it was so bittersweet. I'm not gonna lie, I shed a couple of tears when I finished the book because it was so beautiful, the ending. And this book had some of the best Percabeth moments in it, and I loved that. I think it's my favorite part of reading the series is Percabeth. So yeah, like I said, it's my favorite. That is the big reason why it's my favorite. And I'm glad we got to see all the gods and everything together, and I'm glad things are getting better is the only way I can put it. Number two is Battle of the Labyrinth. Now, I always thought Battle of the Labyrinth was my favorite because obviously it was the massive invasion. Things have just taken like a wild turn. There's actual people dying in that book. There's stakes were so high in that book. I think that's why I thought that it was my favorite. And obviously it was like the Percabeth first kiss, like things like that stood out to me. And I loved that there was a lovely group dynamic between Grover, Percy, Annabeth, Tyson, and of course Rachel, who helps out. Um, Obviously getting to meet Calypso as well, somebody else who had fallen for Percy. Uh, yeah, I didn't have like a personal gripe with her. Like I knew that this is kind of sad, but I knew that she couldn't have Percy. Like I get that. So yeah, I think that's my second favorite book because there's just a lot going on. Again, it's a very perfect book. Like it sets up the tone for the last book really well, and I love that. Number three, I put Titan's Curse. Now, a lot of people underestimate the power of Titan's Curse. That book is amazing because it's such a shift in tone to the other books. It's so mature, and I feel like it's growing with the audience. Like, yeah, and obviously meeting Thalia, like she's a badass. I love her character so much, and I loved that there was a rivalry between her and Percy. Like they were competing, and I loved that. And I love that Percy's just in a pissy mood throughout the book because Annabeth is gone, and Bianca and Zoe, two very amazing characters who died heroes' deaths, who I think about all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah, they were. That book is so well written, honestly. Like, I really, really rate that book. The next book is The Lightning Thief, obviously because it is such an incredible introduction to this universe, this Riordan verse, and what I love about this book so much and why I love this series so much is because it came from a place of love and goodwill. It's a story that Rick wrote for his son to make him feel more comfortable in the world because he was suffering um, with feeling out of place and having learning difficulties and feeling like nobody really understands. Like it came from such a place of heart, and I feel that like that really reflects in his work, and I love that. Love that. And I love that it's touched so many people around the world, including myself. Um, it's made me feel more comfortable. Like I always say to like people who haven't read the book, like it was nice to have this book on like a bad day because it made you feel special, and it makes you feel like every difficulty, whether that's a learning difficulty, a mental like health disorder, it makes you feel like it's okay, like you could still be a hero. This is it's getting so like it's getting so overly emotional, sorry. I hope you can feel my love for this book through my voice right now. It makes you feel powerful, and I think that's what I love the most about it. And of course, Sally Jackson is one of my favorite characters, one of the best, actually, no, the best fictional mother character in any book that I've read. Like the way she supports her son and the way she does everything she can to protect him. Oh God. Do you know, I always say like if I'm gonna be a mum, I wanna be a mum like her because she is absolutely out of this world. She's such a badass and she's such a caring woman at the same time. Like I understand why Poseidon calls her the queen amongst women because she is just absolutely fabulous. Yeah. Love her. She made that book so special for me. She was literally the backbone of that book, and I loved that. And of course, Sea of Monsters. You know, Clarice is just my favorite part of that book. She just killed me every time. She was funny, she was sassy, she was a badass. And she had a vulnerability to her as well, and I loved that. Um, and just the scene when she meets the Cyclops who's trying to marry her and stuff, it was just hilarious. Like I love Sea of Monsters, I think, has some of the best humor in it. And of course, Tyson. Oh, my lovely Tyson, my little Cyclops. He's just adorable. I feel like he's my baby. Like I'm just like whenever I see him, I'm so so proud. And obviously, what he becomes throughout the course of these books, I think, is just like I said, he gets a really good character arc as well. This is what I keep saying. Rick gives everybody a purpose. Rick gives everybody something that makes them so special and so memorable to fans. And like he's just I think he's exactly what Percy needed. He's like even though Percy has Grover, right? Tyson when it's your brother, I think it's different. And the brothership and the companionship that they both have is just this the sweetest thing ever. And of course, Siren Bay is one of my favorite Percabeth scenes, and I'm really looking forward to season 2 of the show. I want to see Walker and Leah do that scene and just probably die happy, basically. Just have my heart completely melted by those two because they're amazing. So yeah, those are the reasons why the books are in the rank that they are. Um, yeah, they're just what an ending to the series is all I can say. Like I'm so proud that I discovered these books because they just are some probably one of the best book series I've ever read, and I think that's saying a lot. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. These episodes are quite rambly, and I can understand that that can be quite frustrating for you guys to listen to me talk 24/7. So thank you for staying with me. I hope you guys enjoyed these reviews. I enjoyed them. I really did, and like I'm still thinking about the next time I can go back and read the books from start to finish again. No, I'm gonna do all these episodes first and then I'll probably go back to it. The next book on my list is Chalice of the Gods because I really want to review that book on here. And I've only ever read it once. Um and that was a while ago, so I'm gonna read it again. And then this year in September, when Wrath of the Triple Goddess comes, I will be reviewing that as well. Hopefully I'll still be doing this and I can review that book for you guys as well. So you're probably wanting to know like where I'm going to take this because obviously I've done the books now. So what I was thinking was, I think I mentioned this maybe 1 or 2 episodes ago, but I'm going to do some Percabeth episodes now. So I'm going to do like the best of Percabeth in the TV show. Then I'm going to do the best of Percabeth in the books, like the first 5 books. Then I'm going to do the best of Percabeth in Heroes of Olympus. So I'm doing quite a broad range. So I don't know how many episodes it's going to be, depending on how much I ramble and how many scenes I manage to pull out. So I think what I might do is I might split it. Maybe I'll do um, Lightning Thief and Sea of Monsters together. And then I'll do like the moments from Titan's Curse to get. Maybe I might be able to squeeze the first 3 books together. And then maybe I'll do one episode in Battle of the Labyrinth because obviously there's a lot of Percabeth moments in that. And then I'll do one episode on what you call it? God, my brain's gone blank. Last Olympian, of course. And then I'll see if I can squeeze like once I've read Chalice of the Gods. Actually, no, I'll do that later on. Um, After those Percabeth episodes are over, I'm gonna move on to Chalice of the Gods. So I kind of have like a blueprint plan of what's gonna happen, although that might change depending on obviously life circumstances, but so far that's my plan. So hopefully the next episode should be dedicated to Percabeth. I'm gonna start with the show, like the same way I started with the show when I did the podcast first. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed these episodes. Episodes will be available to stream on my YouTube channel and on Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel while you're there. I would very much appreciate that. Sorry, what was I saying? I got interrupted. I think I was just at the end where I was just saying thank you. I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. I feel like I've said that already. What was I talking about? See, this is what happens when I get interrupted. Like I lose my train of thread. Anyway, all I think I was going to say was to subscribe to my YouTube channel once you're there. It'll be very much appreciated. You can follow me on Spotify as well. I guess you could be the first to know when episodes go up. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It is at Aamsuntitledpodcast. And I will speak to you guys in the next episode. Mwah! Bye!